We have concluded the 4.5 months that is the legislative session. A lot of victories for you this session. Tell us about, so start with the biggest, I guess, the Senate Bill 775 for you.
Yes, we are so excited that did get its final vote and in the governor's possession now, I would think. And so, what that bill does is it started off as our victims of sexual assault package. It had the recommendations from the sexual assault task force that we were on for months before session started. And so, it had really good language in it to help in several areas for victims of sexual assault and violence. And it had the rape shield law updates. It had the updates to the sexual assault survivors bill of rights and many other little tweaks to current law. Certainly not going to make the process easy, but we wanted to take away as many hurdles and as much additional trauma as possible when someone wants to come and report and try to get that perpetrator off the streets. That's just such a difficult process. And we wanted to remove as many barriers as possible for women and men who have been through that. When the bill left the Senate and went to the House, the title was changed to judicial. And so that made it to where they could add some additional amendments to it, bills that had been working through the process that possibly didn't have enough time to get across the line. So to our victims of sexual assault bill, then got added a task force for sex trafficking. Our state is one of the states that has a higher amount of sex trafficking offenses. So we need a task force so that we can bring people from all the different areas that work on this together and say, okay, what are we missing? What are we lacking? Why are we in Missouri, one of the highest states in this? That was passed on the bill. Additional enhanced penalties for child sex trafficking was in the bill as well, I'm very proud of. An amendment was added actually in the Senate before it went to the House for banning inappropriate material to children in schools. That's very exciting to get that across the line as well. So Senate Bill 775, which, by the way, is a collaborative effort, co-sponsored bill. This bill really began and ended as a package for women. It also includes men, absolutely, but it really began as a package to protect women, and all of the women in the Senate came together and helped to fight to get it across the line. But my goodness, so many of the men in the Senate, because we did have some senators that kicked against it for whatever reason through the process, but it was really incredible to see the passion, our female senators to help fight, get that across the line, but then also many of our male senators who stood with us and said, we're not going to let this bill die. We're going to keep it going. And that was just really encouraging, refreshing to see that type of camaraderie in the Senate, and then the House did the same, so much so that the floor leader even texted me to say, hey, your bill's up for the last vote if you got a minute to run over. It was really something that both houses got behind, really wanted to do this for our women and children. I'm also very proud of the election integrity bill that got across the line. I know we talked about that a little bit last week. I think that's really going to be helpful. This is a big election year, and we need to be sure that we don't have the harvesting of ballots and that we do have the paper ballots. It's wonderful that we've gotten those things done. And voter ID, which is incredibly important with our southern border not being fixed. We absolutely have got to have our voter ID. This is just a really important bill that got across the line. So our bill to establish prison nurseries, it's incredibly important as well because it allows, like say our moms who are pregnant who end up through drug court or whatever, getting sent to Vandalia, Missouri's women's prison, for the 120-day drug treatment program. Right now, if a mom gives birth while she's in prison, that baby goes into foster care. This prevents that. This allows that baby to stay with the mom while she's in this controlled environment and not using drugs, going through her therapy and treatment while being incarcerated, something that baby will never remember. But the bond that gets formed those first few weeks will absolutely be there for the baby. And that's one more baby that's not going into the system And that's one more mom that we're helping to get back on her feet and take care of her own children. That has really shown to be a positive in the states that have done it. One of the other policies that I'll mention that was very important, it wasn't one of my bills, but definitely helped with it, was the Compassionate Care Act. And that is, my father passed away from COVID last year in Georgia, and I wasn't able to be there. Finally, in the last few weeks, my stepmother was able to be with him, but so many family members have passed during COVID alone. It's painful. It's not right. The bill that we passed allows our family to be with us. So I think that's something near and dear to my heart as well. We were able to get the map passed. It is not the map that I wanted. I don't think that it is the map that many of us wanted, but it is a strong map and it will keep us out of the courts. It keeps the 8th congressional district pretty much intact. It gives us a lot more Jefferson County, which is so close to St. Louis. That has been a concern of mine. How can our congressman represent such a rural and farming district as the 8th has always been, and then bridge that with a metropolitan set of voters? So we'll be fine, and it's a good map. It is a strong 6-2 map. And I'm pleased that we were able to get that done before session ended. It was definitely what was needed to keep it out of the courts. I pray it stays out of the courts. Anyone can sue, but hopeful that it will be the final version.